the definition of good parenting, good teaching, and good treatment is the same for all three: being responsive to the hand you've been dealt. Notice it doesn't say treat everybody exactly the same. That's not good parenting. That's not good teaching. That's not good treatment. Next full disclosure of the talk: I have two kids, ages 8 and 11 years old, both reasonably well behaved. You know what that makes me, don't you? Lucky. Really nothing more and nothing less. I'm lucky. I don't take a great deal of credit for the fact that my children are well behaved. I think people who have well behaved kids take too much credit for the fact that their kids are well behaved. Of course, the corollary to that is that parents of children who are not so well behaved get a lot more blame than they deserve for the fact that their children are not terribly well behaved. My attitude is it's time to stop blaming parents for something none of us are all that good at in the first place. And yet, on CNN.com, just the other day, I've got it in my backpack, the question was asked, should parents be fined, charged, for the misbehavior of their children at school? And I know I was. You would have been very disappointed in a lot of the commentary people wrote in on that question. Things about how irresponsible parents are, how irresponsible they are. They're not there when their kid is acting up at school. The people at school are there when the kid is acting up at school. And of course, since it takes two to tango, why are we so busy blaming not only the kid, but also his parents for the things he's doing when he's with other adults? Fine them? My bet is that they're paying a pretty big price at home already. Why would we fine them? They are just as desperate as the rest of us are to understand who this kid is and how we can help him better than we are. Because let's face it, if we're thinking of fining his parents, things are not going very well for us either. Why do I bring up my two kids, ages 8 and 11, who are reasonably well behaved? Just to let you know that I don't treat them exactly the same. In fact, I don't treat them the same at all. Why not? This is a rhetorical question. Because they're not exactly the same. If I was busy treating my two kids exactly the same, then neither of them would be getting what they need from me. And the reality is they both need completely different things from me. I have two kids who are completely different personalities. No, good parenting doesn't mean treating your kids exactly the same. It means being responsive to the hand you've been dealt. So does good treatment. If I needed help from a mental health professional and I walked into the mental health professional's office for the first time and the mental health professional looked at me and said, "Don't talk. You don't need to say a word." I give everybody the exact same treatment, irrespective of what they need from me. Good treatment? No. Good treatment means being responsive to the hand you've been dealt. Good teaching. Good teaching doesn't mean treating every kid exactly the same. Good teaching means figuring out what every kid in the classroom needs from you and making sure that they get it. Good teaching means making sure everybody gets what they need. Now I can't think of any place that is harder than in a school classroom. Harder primarily because there's a bunch of other kids in there, all of whom also have needs. In fact, being responsive in a school classroom means two things: being responsive to the needs of individuals while simultaneously being responsive to the needs of the larger group. That is very hard to do. And because it is very hard to do, sometimes it doesn't go well. And when it doesn't go well, people in classrooms often say to themselves, well, if I can't do both well, I'm going to do one well. The research literature tells us that mental health clinicians are much more oriented toward individual outcomes, and that classroom teachers are much more oriented toward group outcomes. So when doing both well doesn't go well, it's understandable that classroom teachers often pick the group and sacrifice the kid. A whole lot of kids are being sacrificed lost at school, we could say, because their challenging behavior is not well understood, and because interventions are being applied that often make them look worse, not better, often make them look more like they don't belong in the group rather than that they do. When in fact, being responsive to the needs of individuals and being responsive to the entire group is, in my opinion, those are inextricably linked with each other. I can't separate the two. The things you do to enhance your group helps you work with individuals. The things you do to help individuals enhances your group. I can't separate the two, while acknowledging doing both simultaneously is hard.